we have, on the receipt of revenue report, that time we actually encouraged, because we were losing a lot, and we encouraged them to do offline. Then later on, we were able to now map them in the system.
Where did the money go?
In the bank.
Just show us here in the ROR statement where that money is.
I'm not accounting for the shortage of 10 million. I'm not saying we collected 10 million and we banked it somewhere or somebody took the money. We were not able to realize revenue collection during that period because there was a system change. We were affected. Not that we collected and we banked that money elsewhere, Honorable Chair.
Senator Wambua, then Senator Chirani.
Chief Officer, you may land yourself in some trouble. You just said, your own word, that the time of changeover is when a lot of people are paying their rates. And because of the changeover, the implication is that people did not pay. That we are saying.
True.
We say people did not pay. So why did you effect the changeover at a time that you're supposed to be collecting revenue?
Through Honorable Chair.
Those were decisions
Through Honorable Chair, we only picked single business permit, and I'm saying single business permit, its peak is at January and March, but other revenues were still going on.
There are 11 rows where there was a drop in revenue,
yes,
which cumulatively comes to 20 million.
Yes.
So I don't know whether you have 11 different stories for the 11 different rows. Senator Chiraki.
Let me pick it from where you have left there. Governor, how long has been Ibrahim Chisaka been acting as the Governor? How long has been Ibrahim Chisaka has been acting Director of Receiver of Revenue, number one? Number two, Chair, let me pick it from where the Chief Officer left, because it looks like the previous system was more effective than the one they changed over. Because if you look even at parking fees, I don't know whether people park only in January, when I see you. Because the street parking fee, 865, sorry, financially at the previous 122,785. In the financial year under review was 49 million. So there is a fall of almost 14 million. So, Chair, we need. Governor, was the intention of changing system into this was to cause inefficiency and allow leakages for unintended purpose? Because looking at the 11 rows cumulatively to 20 million, it looks like the intention was to collect less, or was being collected and somebody was pocketing the money. And finally, Chair, on this receiver of revenue, this maintenance of revenue, Governor, how much were you paying? Either through maintenance of revenue, do you own it, or is there agency fee to that effect? And you mentioned something curiously, Governor. The fourth question will be, you said that the previous vendor left with all the data. Was there no agreement between the county government and the vendor that left? Because I thought those, and it is good you have one of the advocates here who was my classmate, Chair. He said that the data left with the previous vendor. I thought there was an agreement. So how did he leave without proper handing over of the data to the county government? Can he highlight something on that?
Yeah, because if that is established, then we also have the power under the Public Audit Act to recommend debarment of a service provider who is complicit in matters that contravene the PFM. And so we want to know where the problem lies, whether it's systems, whether it's your collectors, or whether it's a systemic looting from the public. So
that Chair,
Vice Chair, then the Governor may respond.
They can respond to both of what the Secretary is asking. I want to ask how you manage your revenue. Do you have a committee, or it's just one person who receives all the revenue? Because then if you have a committee, then weekly or monthly, you can sit to review the performance. Because I'm looking at SES dropped by 75%. So, okay, you're changing the revenue collection system, But if you're evaluating performance of revenue monthly, for example, didn't you realize that there's a problem? Because 75% is a very huge amount. So how do you manage your revenue collection system or revenue collection in terms of putting data, and when there is a drop, you realize very fast, so that then you can put intervention in place? 75% is a very high drop for sales. Is it that people are no longer building? They are no longer being professional? Maybe that would be my question.
Okay, Governor, you may respond. Or Senator, please go on record. Senator.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Senator Mwenda Gataya, member of this committee.
Okay, proceed, Governor.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to address two issues. That one, no system can cure mindset. So if people want to really stay, the system may reduce maybe by creating efficiency. And these are things we've been talking about even in Trans-Nzoia, that the system on its own really cannot increase revenue. So the problem of leakages is that is a big problem that we are trying to address. Unfortunately, of course, we're discussing this matter at the point when we are changing the system, and therefore the problem is compounded. Number two, it looks so bad because we're looking at it line by line. We are comparing 2023 and 2022 and 2023. We are seeing the very big difference. But you see, there is a line there called miscellaneous receipts, which is 51 million Kenya shillings. Some of the differences you are seeing in these revenue streams, actually because of that confusion change of the system, were not captured under those revenue streams, but they were captured as miscellaneous. So if you look at the revenue stream, we have lost about 10 million, but part of that money is captured under miscellaneous. Actually, if you remove miscellaneous, it becomes a very, very sorry state. But this money was somehow collected. There was an element of misclassification of the revenue source. As I said at the beginning, we do not have a cordial parting of ways with the ZZ. And I can see here we are not going to discuss what has happened subsequently, because yes, indeed, the change affects revenue collection. But when you come here subsequently, we are going to demonstrate that indeed revenue collection has increased as a result of change of the system. Of course, we tried to get to the data, but the guy just went to court. He took us to the low court, he lost the case, and he went to the high court. So as we speak now, the matter is pending determination by the high court.
Now, Governor, we are here not just to fault find, but we are here also to find solutions. And when we have this conversation, maybe you looked at the global picture, but we look at the details. This Senate, we are very well equipped alongside our partners, the OAG, the ESC, etc. We look at the details. So we probably will not exit this without exhausting the details and finding a solution that will also help you. And I hope that as you're having this conversation, you can be open-minded, because there is a problem. In fact, when you tell us that 51 million has been lumped up as miscellaneous receipts, that should be a serious problem. There is no way as a shopkeeper you can receive money and not know whether you sold omo or salt or sugar. I mean, that's even a corner kiosk is not run like that. So that alone should drive you to demand more from your receiver of revenue. Because we know that the PFM assigns that responsibility to a specific officer who's paid a salary. The question raised by Senator Mwaruma on CES, for example, I think that Trans-Nzoia has a lot of agricultural activity. Perhaps it's the bedrock of the economy. Just come to that breakdown, note 12 on your financial statement on CES. Where CES dropped from 44 million to 11 million. Does it mean that during this transition, because I don't know at what point CES is collected, is it on the road? Is it at the farm gate? Is it at the market?
The road.
So does it mean during this transition of system, even the ropes that are put on the roads were pulled out?
Mr. Chairman, as we speak now, because of the measure that we put in place, SES is the best performing revenue source in Trans-Nzoia as we speak now.
Estimated to be around how much?
Actually, we exceed by how much last year? Last year we collected 8 million from SES.
So there's no reason why SES should ever go down in any financial year, isn't it?
There isn't any reason why it should.
So where you've got a 30 million drop in SES, it means probably 30 million plus was collected and stolen.
That possibility is there.
Now let's deal with that possibility so that we assign responsibility.
Yeah, you have made a very crucial point on receiver of revenue. The governor has chosen to ignore my question on how long the receiver of revenue has been active, because that is a very important person in terms of the whole architecture and design. Governor, you have not answered the question on how long your receiver of revenue has been active, because from the report that is on receiver of revenue is here, how long has it been active, yet is paid and designated. And then, Chair, in addition to sales, I also believe issues of parking should be easy, because you remember Turkana even were using POS in terms of parking fees within Kitale, within Lodwar town. So the question should be, even in street parking fees, the drop of 14 million is very high, because the street parking is marked and it is easy to know which street parking is. So the governor has answers how long the ROR has been active on the issue of parking, and also says almost go in similar way, because these street parking are marked and it can be easily traced. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, if you go to page 21 of our document, we'll see how we have desegregated that miscellaneous.
Page 21 of which document? Because you had responded to
The receipt of revenue.
your response was on page 92. So we go back to page 21.
21. Of the 15 million under miscellaneous, page 21.
51 million, not 15.
Of the 51 million, total 51 million, 51, SES accounts for 18 million. So this 18 million should have been captured under SES.
That leaves us with a gap of about 14 million compared to prior year, isn't it? It's still a drop.
Yeah.
And I want to emphasize this. You don't need to be defensive on this, unless you are have this conversation so that your staff, your receiver of revenue, can understand the concept under the PFM. And I think that if we just do a slap of the wrist on this thing and say that things have, there appears to be 20 million that has been, there is a problem. You've agreed there's a possibility of loss of funds if you look at these movements. Perhaps in the subsequent year we'll see an improvement. But
Miscellaneous receipt from slaughterhouse. 13,000. In the morning, don't consume meat, so they have, most of them are LDS. I don't know. I mean, really, 38.
what,
You know the chair is an
I'm an Adventist. So
Yeah, chair. I think one of your relatives live in so yeah, I mean,
we eat meat.
you eat meat.
Yes.
But
So what,
soya meat, not
what is that? What's the explanation there, Governor?
Again, that should not be lost. When did the ROR begin acting in collection? I think that's an important question.
Mr. Chairman, I cannot give why the slaughter fee was low. Maybe the number of animals that were brought to be slaughtered were few. I don't have another reason for
It's also very difficult when you have already admitted that there was some data. Very difficult now to explain how some of those things arose. Because I thought it would have been easier to say, yes, we have had challenges, we have data integrity issues, we have migration issues, and therefore, because if you try to explain numbers,
yeah, that's what I began by saying,
which in your view are not verifiable, then
the mindset.
yeah.
That's what I said. But you know, when you ask for information, I'm defensive, and information is here. I'm just trying to say that says the second word, not this much, but it's this much. There's a shortage indeed, and we are doing there's a shortage.
Correct.
Can we do better? I believe we can do better.
The bottom line is that there's is not consistent with economic growth trends. Now, the question on the ROR asked by both Senator Chivarke and Senator Maruma.
For some time. Actually, our last attempt to have one also failed. So, receivers of revenue, I think we've had three now. Mr. Jisaka has been in office for the last 6 months. 6 months. To get it right in terms of revenue collection.
The gentleman to your left is CC Finance.
Yes.
Should advise you that pursuant to PFM Act Section 165(2)A, there is nothing like an acting receiver of revenue. It requires the CEC Finance to designate in writing a receiver of revenue. They have been designated, they are not acting, they are substantive. CEC, have you? You can have director revenue that can be acting, but the receiver of is appointed, and whether they are an intern or they are substantive as long as the appointment is in force. This is a responsibility of CEC Finance. Section 165(2)A of the PFM Act.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I have designated him as the receiver.
But so there's nothing like acting receiver of revenue. They can be acting director of revenue. They are substantive.
Yes.
And they take responsibility for any non-disclosure or any shortfalls in the receiver of revenue statements. So now, members, we probably need to proceed because I think Governor has admitted that there's a problem, even though there is attributed perhaps to. If you look at even the performance, OSR potential of 2 billion, and you are effectively just collecting 261 million, because 200 and facility fees. We have sat here, perhaps equivalent to what Turkana collects. We were in Turkana last week. I've asked Senator Chesang, because I appreciate that compared to Trans-Nzoia compared with the Homa Bay, I think Trans-Nzoia, the gross county product would be higher. Even the per capita income would be higher. I think it's a much wealthier county. Homa Bay collects 1.2 billion. If you reduce the hospital fees of 800, it's still 400 million. Trans-Nzoia, with all its wealth and potential, is collecting 261 million. What is the problem? Governor, broadly speaking, and maybe as you respond, I can allow Senator to.
Maybe as you make the ruling on the under collection of 20 million, and we should not close over. I think the reason we ask a governor, the substantive office holders, is for accountability purposes, so that if the committee recommend further action, we know who to help. So the under collection must be looked into. Somebody must be held accountable. And finally, Chair, I asked a question which I think, Governor, you either deliberately choose to ignore or you didn't want to. I wanted to find out what is the agency fees or the maintenance fees of this system? Because the information I have is that every financial year you are using close to 80 million to maintain that system. Because if your potential is 2 billion, after you remove the FIF, it comes to 200 million, for example. If 2 billion, you remove the FIF, which now we have passed the law, the Facilities Improvement Act, which is removed, it comes back to 200 million, which is still a big challenge considering the mapping of revenue streams that you have done. So, Governor, can you provide us with the agency fee or the maintenance fee of this new system? And secondly, now that you have cast, Chair, that will be my third question. Now that you say you did, there was no amicable resolution with the former collector of revenue in Trans-Nzoia, what measures have you put in place? For example, do you own the domain of the collection? Do you own the system now? So that if that system takes off, Chair, does it mean also Trans-Nzoia will continue losing data on revenue mapping streams and even other data important issues? Because under Data Protection Act, it is very important that the client is aware. So what are the stopgap measures to ensure if the new revenue collector decides to take off, can you also take off like the other previous one with all the data, with the revenue streams, with the projection and what have you? That will be my three questions, Chair.
Okay. Perhaps the details on the system, because I think there are two substantive issues to the system that we are coming to. We could deal with them when we get there, but you can deal with the broader issues. Then we go, there's an issue about termination of systems. So it will be neater to deal with what the Auditor General found out and then look at your written response. But deal with the other issues that have been raised.
Mr. Chairman, the current system is owned by the county government of Trans-Nzoia. It was procured at 26 million shillings with an annual maintenance fee of 7.3 million for 3 years. So after 3 years, we shall own the system. So the challenges that we went through with this have just kind of been addressed with this system. I don't know we are getting the 80 million, those figures are strange to me. Because what we have is the 6 million cost of the system, 7.3 million annual maintenance of the system.
There was a question as to the lack of ambition, where you are effectively collecting 261 million versus a target of 2 billion.
Mr. Chairman, we've not shared with the CRA the formula they used to come up with the 4 billion, 2 billion. I don't think if the total wealth of Trans-Nzoia now is 4 billion shillings. That's the total money.
4 billion? No, I think the auditor tells us that it has been revised downwards to 2 billion, which sounds reasonable. Have you done your own mapping?
I don't think so.
My understanding was that the 2 billion was a negotiated position, was it not? That the CRA had proposed 4 point something, then it was contested, and then stepped down to 2 billion.
Chairman, personally, I've not engaged in any negotiation with CRA over this figure.
But as the CEO of the entity, what is your on-source revenue? What's your estimated on-source revenue potential? Because that is something that your receiver of revenue should have at hand. It should guide your budgeting. It should guide your, driven by your finance bill.
Mr. Chairman, the receipt of revenue has not told us how they arrived at 4 billion shillings. Because I'm looking at my account, where am I going to get 2 billion shillings?
We are the receiver of revenue is your appointee. Leave alone the CRA. I'm now asking, in your own assessment, what is your OSR potential? We can forget about the CRA for a minute.
Yeah, my potential from what I've been telling my team is that we look at how much the county council of Trans-Nzoia was collecting before the advent of the commission, and how much the Kitale municipality was collecting. And in total, it was about 800 million with the fewer revenue streams. So that was as a baseline for us, that, can we meet what we were collecting before the evolution? That's 800 million. We can put a markup, maybe 400 million, that will give us about 1.2 billion. It's reasonable, can be explained. million really. Just
So even if you are to use the 800 million, the fact is you are collecting just about a quarter of what the defunct authorities were collecting.
True.
Isn't that a cause for concern?
Major cause.
So I think we now need to understand some of the measures being taken.
Chairman, this is 15 years down the line.
When the economy has grown.
When the municipalities were collecting 800, they are collecting a quarter. So it means there is a bigger problem. And I thought the governor, you said you have mapped more revenue streams, which are much more than the other municipalities. So where is the challenge? And I remember when we went through ICT committee, and governor, at that point you told us that some officers had been fired because they have been pocketing revenue. Is it still the position?
Actually, the problem we had was initially all revenue collectors were voluntary staff. So we actually recruited revenue officers. And we can demonstrate that after that, we had some significant improvements in revenue collection. But as I admitted, and my team here knows that we have the problem with the mindset, where people still can't honest. Because I believe there's no revenue officer who can know that you have not paid revenue and let you go. They can't. So they really know who's supposed to pay and pay what. But this is some kind of unholy, alliances out there. It's an internal problem that we're really trying to sort out. It's bearing fruits, not as fast as we want, but when you look at our revenue growth for the last 2 years, there's a bit of improvement. Of course, I'd be happy if I hit the target of Trans-Nzoia County Council, which had fewer revenue streams that they are collecting about 800 million. And of course, at that time, when they reached that record of 800 million, even councillors at that time participated in revenue collection. They went out in that way to participate. So it's a matter of sealing loopholes in the revenue collection department where we have got officers. Even people fight to be deployed to revenue, including enforcement officers. They rather go to revenue than go to the hospital. So that should tell you something. Like when all policemen want to become traffic policemen, the motivation is quite obvious. So these are the things, if this committee has a solution, and I'll gladly bring it on board. How do we sell loopholes in terms of leakage of revenue? Because that's where the problem is. Nowhere else.
Let's have a candid conversation because the governor is being candid. Sabotaging revenue collection in Trans-Nzoia County. Is that what you're saying? That there is sabotage of revenue collection in Trans-Nzoia County. Okay.
I think that seems to be it. And that's where we now need to as a Senate.
Chair, with your indulgence, even I'm looking at your financial statements of receipt of revenue. Your original target was you didn't achieve that. So looking at the projection, you have said you want. I don't know, you said councillors were part of the collection, so I don't know whether your MCA should be, but that's a point of discussion. So in this 643 million, there must have been realistic target of that amount. There must have been revenue strategy that you wanted. 643 million. And finally, Chair, Governor said they were voluntary. In the Bible, Bishop. so Chair, the Bishop is always right. So I don't know whether you are calling it revenue. So can you tell this committee they were temporary? So how can be so that they can be. And number two, I ask a very specific questions. Are there any officers in revenue? Are there, Governor, are there officers that have been fired, their own disciplinary action has been taken or administrative action, and how many are there? Because it looks like, Governor, you are aware there is a problem. Kuna watu wanakula. I tell the committee of the Senate there are people who are stealing our revenue. They'll give me the prescription. I thought he should be telling us, Governor, you should be telling, I found 10 revenue collectors, I have fired 10. I have reported to DCI or ESCC for action to be taken. Because if you come and tell this committee through the judges that money is being stolen, but can the committee give us a solution? It should be presented that these are demonstrative actions, these are investigations ongoing, this is what we have done, we have confirmed permanent and pensionable. Because the fact that everybody wants to be in revenue collection, it means there is a bigger problem that we thought. So can Governor...
Senator Maruma, then the Governor may respond so that we can move to the other question.
Yeah, the Governor indicated that there are challenges in terms of collecting revenue from the national government. How much do you think the national government cooperated you collect from the land belonging to the national government to collect that revenue? Do you have annexures or any support to show such revenue? That would be my question.
Governor?
Mr.
Sorry, maybe Senator Chesang, so that you can consolidate.
Yeah, I think we have, as the chairman of we have been doing an inquiry, and now we have gone to, I think, more than 9 counties. And just as an example of the last 2 counties that we've gone, we have seen, of course, improvements in terms of on-source revenue in most of the counties, at least 8 of the counties that you've gone. Because we had the same irregularities of issues with on-source revenue, and when we went there, we found out that the governor had fired, I think, a few staff, around 30 staff that were found doctoring the system and trying to the staffs that were stealing, or maybe they were interfering in the system, the on-source revenue system. But still, Chair, any county that creates their own EPR system or their HMS system, like for example Machako, the first time they sourced their system, they were collecting 30 million. So then later they went to 200, and now they're doing 775 million. The same with Kiambu County, they were doing 2.9 million before the EPR system, billion, and as per now they are collecting 5.4 billion. That shows you that these systems need to bring an improvement in on-source revenue. So basically, with Trans-Nzoia acquiring this system, I think it is the prerogative of the governor just to be serious with this, with the staff, or maybe the issues where he thinks there might be a problem, because you can't honestly be telling us that the slaughterhouse only collected 38,000. Because we people of Trans-Nzoia, I think, apart from where we come from, we can afford the meat at least, I'm sure. So there must be a problem in the system.
Yeah, it is definitely a problem. The governor has owned up. It's just his response that was evasive, because he attributed this to systems. But I'm glad that under oath you have said that systems cannot be the solution. They can be a problem, but they can never be the ultimate solution. So we now need to exit this matter. You will respond to the issues raised, and then we'll give a way forward.
Mr. Chairman, I want to disagree completely with Senator Cherargei when he said that we've done nothing. I think we spent almost an hour talking about what we've been doing.
just to improve revenue, including even the change of the system. I've talked about the rapid results initiative. I've talked about the removal of volunteers that I inherited, that people are collecting revenue. We removed all of them. We removed all the casuals who were involved in revenue collection. We recruited new officers, no revenue officers.
I think with due respect to Senator Cherargei, whatever you explain, is it captured anywhere in your written responses?
Yes, yes.
Where?
It is. When you look at our on page 15.
On page?
Of the executive, the county executive.
Yeah, because we have not gone there. So Senator Cherargei is right. So please let it not be just you disagreeing with Senator Cherargei, because he also is entitled to his observation. I think just process your thoughts through the chair.
And Chairman, there is no matter that has exercised my mind as the governor of Trans-Nzoia than revenue. That is the matter that gives me sleepless nights. Because I need to employ more people, the wage bill is high. To accommodate that, I need more revenue. And my officers know that. We've actually participated in all these things to ensure that we up our revenue. So really, it's not that we've not done anything. On the national government, we've got a lot of property that's owned by the national government, including Kenya Seed. The Agricultural Development Corporation has got over 40,000 acres in Trans-Nzoia. Kenya Railways, we've got KFIs, we've got Calro, all those. But not all of them are paying land rates as they should. I think the only one is most cooperative is Kenya Seed. Kenya Seed. Kenya Seed. Railways had huge areas, so much. About 20 billion that they should have paid us, but they have not paid. You know, so the national government again has contributed to some of these things. When you look at Trans-Nzoia as the grain basket of Kenya, the people who produce most of these places own less than half an acre of land. The majority of them. The large-scale landholders are government institutions and they're few individuals. So really the poverty level in Trans-Nzoia is hidden under these stories of Kenya's bread basket, you know. So people think that Trans-Nzoia is very rich. Trans-Nzoia is not a rich county. Even when you just go there and just look at the way the county looks like, you're going to see what the people. Raising this amount of money from the people of Trans-Nzoia is very, very difficult. So now we look at raising the one cow is 40 shillings. Yeah. So that 8,000 divided by 40, how many animals are those? Those are very many animals. Now you become very strict and start slaughtering animals at home with now the attendant, you know, issues that come along with it. It's the kind of reality we're facing on the ground. That's why the chairman personally was shocked. If CRA can come up with such an outrageous figure, Trans-Nzoia can actually raise 4 or 2 billion shillings in terms of taxes. It's just an impossibility.
Senator
Chair, just
to allow us to proceed.
For the benefit of the governor, we have similar problems in Nairobi, where the national government institutions, including where we are seated, have refused to pay Nairobi land rates. When the CS for Treasury was here, he confirmed that there are certain conversations between county governments like Nairobi that are owed money by national government institutions to swap some of those debts and help counties to be able to from those debts. As Trans-Nzoia, have you had conversations with the national government or the national treasury on this specific issue of the national government entities that are not paying what is due to the county?
We have been engaging with the respective departments and state organs, parastatals, on case by case. Has been paying. The last financial year gave us about 20 million in terms of rates. Kenya Railways have been paying, but have not been able to settle their arrears. Yeah, But Kenya has got almost 50 acres of land right in the middle of Kitale town. The town, but I'm not like about that. I'd like to have that kind of conversation.
Chair, just to conclude on that matter, Governor, I know this may be a very tricky issue. Oh, but I don't know whether it is just my county or it's other counties as well. I've got 40 bob per cow revenue stream. I remember I slaughtered cows just the other day, Chair. They paid several thousands in an abattoir in Kitui. 40 bob, Chair, Governor, you want to have a... I mean, you need to raise money also to even manage the...
Okay, now, Chair, is it fair for us to be pursuing this from people who are not paying Trans-Nzoia money? Who are to raise the price of slaughtering to 400 shillings, Senator Wambua, with the respect. No. If we were to help these counties, the conversation supposed to have are supposed to be grand conversations. So that even if we were to raise by another, how many percent to 400 shillings per cow, the revenue, we were to put pressure on Mbadi and railways, I think we should focus.
Yeah, but I think members, I'd requested that we find a way out because it's one, and by 2:30 we must be in the chamber.
Yeah, for fairness.
Yeah.
Not petty at all. It is captured in their own document. And these small revenue streams add up. Pursuing revenue from slaughterhouses and abattoirs is not mutually exclusive to pursuing collection of revenue from the big guy. That's why I want to say,
Chair, just in conclusion, one, I would request you. Number two, Governor, I have not seen, maybe just the last one, how much is being owed by the county like Kenya Railways, the national government, and then number three, in your annexures and in your reports, you have not, or I didn't see in your response, management response, attached any holders. Maybe the governor can provide that evidence, Chair, and the strategies, because we have seen counties like Yambu, like Nairobi. Sometimes they encourage pay up of, and it is provided under the PMF Act. So, Governor, are there any strategies apart from negotiating? Are there any strategies like waivers of rate so that you can improve on collection? Because this also revenue is very critical, and that may be the reason why the CRA were picking that indicators. And I want to inform the Governor, Chair, as I exit, that in fact during our fourth basis of revenue, on how Trans-Nzoia got 1 billion plus extra under division of revenue under this financial year.
Yeah, honorable members, I know we have a lot of experience on this matter, so there's a lot we can advise the governor on. But I think we must... the facts are as follows, that on-source revenue dropped by 20 million in the financial year under review. The governor has admitted that there could be data integrity and quality issues. The variations across, so it throws into doubt even the accuracy and integrity of the numbers that have been presented before the Senate. It is also a fact that local authorities did 15 years ago, and that should be a matter of serious concern. Even if the CRA figures were disputed, OSR target, the county is only achieving just about 1/4 or perhaps 30% of that target, and that is unacceptable. We therefore of course, we will see the positive action taken in subsequent years going on. But this 20 million, we must confirm whether it was collected and pocketed, or cause an investigation into the financial management of the receiver of revenue and collectors of revenue to assure us that every single cent that was collected from the people of Trans-Nzoia was reported. And in the event we find that money was collected and not deposited in CRF, please recommend prosecution. Number two, we've got the systems vendor. We will take the clerk, we must write to the systems vendor so that, of course, why we should not recommend a debarment as per the Public Audit Act. Because it is wrong for a system vendor to misbehave in Trans-Nzoia and then go to West Pokot and continue doing the same things. So we must also take decisive action. So with respect to the systems vendor, we shall be making recommendations for debarment. Of course, they will have an opportunity to come and explain themselves if they disagree with us. Number three, Governor, we expect you to take administrative action on your officers, even if it means redesignating a receiver of revenue. Because you cannot come to Nairobi and then you say that looks like there's a problem with the data. It might appear as if some money was stolen. Those are issues that your ROR, I mean, that's the only job of a receiver of revenue, from morning to evening. If you cannot take administrative action on the entire complement involved in the revenue, then we might conclude that you are also an accomplice. And I think finally, we made a mistake, perhaps as Senate, to take away the fiscal responsibility index. Because when we said we wanted to do a proper objective ranking of counties, these are the things we must look at. Governor Natembeya might look, not might be, I believe, I take judicial notice, that is a very popular governor. He's a very visible governor. But now when we come to the numbers, perhaps it tells a story that is different. So we need an objective assessment of counties based on fiscal responsibility indicators. I think we had already agreed that we're going to do that ranking. And I think on this, Governor Natembeya is going to rank very badly compared to peers, because these are now numbers. This is not just about the personal leadership perception of the governor. So we could leave this matter at that, such that even the other issue on termination will take a view when you're writing a report and make a recommendation on debarment. That can allow us, in the remaining period, to go to pending bills and also to sample a few projects that are still outstanding. We agree, honorable members? Fine. So let's go back to the report on the executive and start with the issue of pending bills. OAG, you will read your finding under pending accounts payables.
Affects the provisions for the subsequent year to which they have to be charged. My opinion is not modified in respect of these matters. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Governor, the Senate had made a lengthy recommendation that arose from a resolution of the Senate on guidance on how to settle pending bills. You may now take us through your action taken so that we don't waste time rereading the Senate recommendation.
That's our response. The county government of Trans-Nzoia had pending bills amounting to Kenya shillings 1,497,561,536. Those are the audited amounts in the financial year under review, out of which pending bills amounted to Kenya shillings 983,234,209 were settled as of 31st March 2025. Kenya shillings 700 has been provided for by the county government in the budget for the financial year 2025-2026 to offset the balance of the verified pending bills and to partially resolve the unverified pending bills for the financial year 2021, 2022, and previous years. The list of total pending bills vis-a-vis the list of pending bills settled is provided under Annex 16, which is pending bills, pending accounts payable, the payment plan. Annex 17, settled pending bills under recurrent. Annex 18, settled pending bills under development. And Annex 19, the budget for financial year 2024-25, and pending bills, pending accounts payable, settlement returns.
To start off, Auditor General, what number should we be dealing with? Is it 1.497 or 1.371?
Thank you, Chair. The audited number is 1.371 billion.
Governor, how did this grow by 100 million? Because once you have reported on it, if there's a growth, then that is a matter of great concern. What should be the right number so that we are sure what we are querying? Are the persons who prepared the financial statements here? Yeah, so let's start with that, establish the base.
Honorable Chair, I'll respond. What the Office of the Auditor General is referring to, a figure of 1,371,609,319 is actually pending bills that is in relation to merchant payments.
Can you speak English, please? Just tell us what number.
1,371,609,319 shillings.
There's a gap of 125 million. Just explain.
I'm coming to that.
That is what we are interested in.
Okay.
Yeah.
We also had some pending bills in relation to staff pending payables of about 16,800,000 in relation to community health promoters that had not been paid for the month ended June 2024. Then we also have amounts due to other party payments. That is, we have a lab trust, we have a Lake region CBO, support to CBO, and others.
So you're referring to Annex 2, 3, and
yes,
4?
Yes.
So 1.497 is a summation of those three annexes?
That is it.
OAG, that makes sense?
For pending bills, the practice has been to look at merchant payments. So we would want to stick to the merchant payments or the unpaid merchant bills of 1.3 billion.
The rest. OAG, that one I think you are arguing for argument's sake. Because personally, I'm extremely interested in those non-merchant pending bills. When you have 109 million of statutory contributions that are sitting in the pending bills register, that to me is a bigger risk than even the others. So I think I see what they're explaining, but I also hear you. So whether it's 1.3, those were supplies of goods and services, there is a 16 million on payment of CHPs and 109 million on statutory remittances. I think it's okay, it's not an issue. So now let's go and ask ourselves how much of that has been paid of the three categories of pending bills.
Honorable Chair, we have, during the year under review and subsequently in the year following year, we paid 983,294 or 983,294,209 shillings.
So how does that relate to the merchant, the CHPs, and statutory remittances.
Annex. There's an annex. Bring the annex.
Because in your financial statements, all the statutory remittances were completely unpaid and remained at 109 million.
Honorable Chair, on the Annex 16, 17, 18, and 19 that has been put in one booklet, we have the last page, which is a summary of what was paid. We have audited pending bills 2023, 2024, including 22, 23.
Which page is that? Last page?
The last page on that annex booklet.
Annex 6, 17, 18, and 19. The last page.
Here we go with this. Total this.
Okay, proceed.
Last summary page, we have pending bills in relation to merchants that was audited at 1,371,609,319. What we paid was 494,209 shillings, leaving as a balance of 405,115,110 shillings. And we have indicated as an action to be taken to be provided and settled for in the financial year 2025-2026. That's what His Excellency was referring to as a provision of 700 million to cover part of that.
Did that annexure satisfy a query on the 109 million?
Yeah.
Where is it?
On 109 million is included in the second row on that summary page, where we have said other third-party payables for the year 2023, 24, and 22, 23, and 23, 24.
Please just move a bit slowly, and so that we are with you.
The last page, Chairman, the last page.
Last page of annex?
Yeah.
Annex what?
16, 17, 18, and 19, the last page.
That page, just hold it up, Governor. That one that looks like stained litmus paper.
Oh, yes.
So what do we make out of it?
It's just a summary of what was paid.
Segregated payment of pending bills, as you asked.
So maybe, Chair, as you look at it, is it possible to segregate the third-party payables, 22, 23, 23, 24, which read 273 million? What are these? Is it loans? Is it NHIF, SHA? What are they? You've only paid 16 million. And I would be worried if it is loans belonging to workers or employees. I would really be worried.
There are quite a number of payments there through Honorable Chair. We talked of the issue of lab trust. We have some other financial support we are offering. Then we have associations and subscriptions.
Officer, I think you might want to approach this from this route. You paid 16.8.
Yes.
Under that row.
Yes.
And you had 16.8 in your financial statements.
Yes.
For stipends for CHPs.
Right, Chair.
Are those two related?
Yes.
So that 16.8 was a stipend for CHPs.
That is it, Your Chair.
That leaves out, that means the 109 has not been paid.
Yeah, we were not able to settle that.
And 109 are statutory, are unremitted pension liabilities, subscriptions, pensions, etc., etc., statutory deductions, which are some of which are effected through the payroll. Why wouldn't you pay that?
We actually recognize them as pending payables from prior years, even before August 2022. That is before the current regime. So why we provided them in the financial statements to enable us to have a basis
you have
for
a column
payment.
Here for date contracted.
Yes.
We can see the debt contracted 2023, 2023, 2022, 2023.
Right.
So this one you're not running away from. These are statutory deductions unremitted during the financial year of 109 million.
Correct. What 109 million relates to the financial year 2022-2023, but what we incurred and accrued was for the financial year 2023-24 was 16,800,000, which we settled, Chair.
Why does 109 million sit in your books as unremitted statutory deductions? That is a question.
Those were just arrears,
They were just
They were
arrears.
inherited arrears.
Their pensions, their monies deducted from employees.
Yes.
Kept by the county government.
Yes.
And held under the English of inherited arrears.
True.
Governor, you see the team that you are running?
Chairman,
I mean, do you understand my concern? Because the money has been deducted from employees. It is sitting somewhere there in the entity.
Mr. Chairman, we inherited the debt, not the money. Because this 119 was inherited, money that was due to LAP Fund, NSSF, all those entities. The money was not paid, but we don't know where the money is. Today, as we speak, we remit money as we deduct.
Yeah, Governor, there was a colleague of yours who told us that because of these issues of late exchequer releases, sometimes entities pay the net salary to employees. And then you have to look at your cash flow to be able to pay the statutory deductions later. If that is the case, just explain. Just explain. Is that the case in Trans-Nzoia?
In our case, that's not the case in Trans-Nzoia.
So what is the case? How did the chair wants to know?
So why I'm explaining this, Chair, is that for you to be able to settle any pending bill, it must be reflected on the face of your financial statements. That's why we saw it prudent for us to reflect this and have it audited by the office.
We are interested.
I'm only giving an explanation first.
You'll move slowly. I'm the one giving directions.
Good, Governor.
Senator Sifuna.
The explanation the committee wants is how this became a pending bill. Because the assumption is, if you deduct money from me, my salary for payee, for instance, you are supposed to remit it to KRA.
Yes.
What would cause a county not to remit that money to KRA is the question we're asking. And this committee has helped counties. When you tell us the disease, don't tell us the wrong disease. We will prescribe a wrong remedy. You remember, Chair, the conversation about penalties that were being imposed by KRA on late statutory remittances. It is this committee that made sure KRA held back on that. So the question we're asking, how did the debt arise? That if you explain that, we move on to the next issue.
Senator Wambua.
Chair, in the interest of time, if I had the governor may want to listen to this. If I heard the governor correctly, he said that this 109 is inherited from before 2022. Yeah? And I think he went on to say they inherited the bill, not the money. So what the governor is saying is that, yes, he is admitting there is money that was deducted from people's salaries, not remitted where it was supposed to be remitted in previous administrations, and to date, that has not been settled. If that is the position, Chair, then perhaps the question would be, what is the county government doing? Because this is actually a criminal act. You know, you have deducted money from a member of staff and you have not remitted. What is the county government doing to fast track the remittances of the 109? I know that's the conversation.
I think that is our working definition, as you have described it. So that's what we need to deal with.
So that the governor can answer both. There's a counter argument here that this might not be inherited debts, because that second line reads, other third-party payables for 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024. If it is 2022, 2023, that is the time, Governor, you came into office. year beginning July 1, 2022. And there was no money released by Exchequer, I think in May and June. That money came to be released after elections. So these can't be inherited bills.
Okay,
Yes.
so you are varying the working definition. Senator Cherargei?
Chair, thank you. Governor, you have given the what we call in, you have paid 189,667,563. Governor, and you know you cannot hide the truth. You had said that you could not make photocopies for this committee, but in your payment in item number 311, last sec limited, order 186, you paid payment for purchase of 2 photocopiers worth 398,000. So, Governor, to tell this committee you could not photocopy because you don't have photocopiers is a story you can tell to birds some other time. Chair, let me go to this on the issue. Says that I'm very keen in your management response. He said he's a truthful man. So I'm assisting him in finding truth. Finally, Governor, you have said to offset the balance of verified pending bills and to partially resolve the unverified pending bills. So which are these unverified pending bills? I really want to know that part. Because I have agreed you have you have given us, and I've looked at your financial statements as by your chief officer has said, is you have 1.4 billion, and you have brought down, including the financial, you have put around, is it 700 million to this financial year of 2025. I'm keen on the partially resolve the unverified pending bills for the financial year 2021, 2022, and prior years. Could you be generous enough with information? Tell us how much is this? Because you have been specific by budgeting 700 million, but you have not tell us how you intend to resolve partially unverified pending bills. And comes to my question, Governor, when you took office, did you do pending bills verification? And where is the report? And how much was verified pending bills and how much was unverified pending bills? Chair, I yield.
Governor?
Yes.
Maybe by giving us your version of the working definition of the problem.
109 million, that's in our document. These are debts that were inherited, not just from the first regime of devolution, but all the way to the municipalities and county councils, including the LAP fund and so forth. That's the money that we inherited. So it's appearing in 2023 because we cannot really wish it away. We must put it here and find a way of dealing with it. But as I've said, currently we detect and we rebate. We are very current. You can confirm this one even with the CPF. That's what we are doing. Number two, we've got machines. The chairman, we have machines. True, we bought. We're talking about consumables. You can have a printer, then the photocopier would have got no paper. It's of no use. That's the problem I'm talking about. They don't have finances at the moment. That's why we've got to run into problems in terms of producing these documents. Now, we're talking about the unverified pending bills. When we came into office like another responsible government, we had the assumption of office committee, and one of the things they were looking at was the pending bills. And the figure went to almost about 1.2 billion shillings. And it kept on mutating and increasing. What we did, we formed a committee that was chaired by the former Auditor General, Dr. Edward Oko. He came up with a report that classified eligible and ineligible pending bills. But I think some people who found themselves on the list of ineligible ones rushed to court. And the court, in this opinion, felt that Mr. Uko was not verifying pending bills, that he was doing audit, which we disagree with. We disagreed. And that's why we formed our own pending bills verification committee that has been working. We have been able to reduce that figure from that 1.2 billion. We are coming down. We believe by the time we are done, we'll have a figure that we can really defend. And that's why we've made a provision of 700 million in the current budget knowing that the pending bills, actually pending bills are about 441 million, but we know you're going to have the inherited pending bills that also need to be paid because this work was done by our own people in Trans-Nzoia, and they've been asking for their money. That explained and verified because we have not yet concluded the verification process. We believe you're going to conclude it during this financial year. If there'll be any money left pending or as an extra from the provision, then of course going to be applied to other needy things within the county.
Senator Sifuna and then Controller of Budget may have stepped out. Maybe I'll toss this to the Treasury to tell us how statutory deductions should be treated, because last week we were told that recovery of interest is the first of all first charges. And why should we be raising requisitions, disbursements for settlement of other matters when statutory deductions prescribed in law are being done in the county but not being remitted to the relevant bodies? I think you need to advise us on that, because this 109, whether it was of defunct authorities of yesterday or today, there must be a commitment on its settlement. Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Chairman, if you indulge me, I'd forgotten something on that 109. I think the senators, view is the same explanation we get from Trans-Nzoia, that because of insufficiency of funds, people are just being paid net salaries. Paid net salary, and therefore these other deductions. Actually, the money was not being deducted, so it was not there because the funds were not sufficient. So you just pay a salary, and then all these other deductions, including even pay as you earn. People are not paying, and that's why sometimes we get even penalties from KRA. As I said, we're not running out from this.
Do you agree with that explanation?
I do.
How do you agree with this? Because when you make requisitions from the control of budget, your requisition gross.
This is current, Mr. Chairman. We're talking about municipal councils and county councils. They were just paying net because the funds were not sufficient. So you'll assume that actually they deducted the money for lab fund, when indeed they did not deduct the money.
Senator Sifuna?
Mine is a very small, curious observation. Governor, this is Annexure 17. When I look at the first page and the second page, there's a lot of women groups who are doing business with your county. I can count almost 20 on this page too. From Bicholwa to Rambisia to Kendelesia, I can see a lot of women groups. What is the story in Trans-Nzoia? Very briefly. No, we need to learn from other people. Yeah. What is the story, Governor?
What we do in Trans-Nzoia is that we've tried to operationalize APO, access to government procurement opportunities, by young people, by women, and people living with disabilities. They form groups, and those groups, we give them company names. Through, of course, Huduma centers, they're given company names to trade with the county government. So what we do, once we give them the money, we also give them a tender to do. Yeah, we don't just give people money to go look for work, and then they'll come telling you we bought chicken and they all died. So we'll give you a government tender and government funds to go and do this. So just a way of empowering our people. That's why you can see all those groups there.
Okay, I think you sampled the first two pages. We don't know what appears in the other pages. But let's go to the substantive issue on how to treat this 109 so that we can give directions.
Mr. Chairman, it's actually more than 109. We're having an engagement with Lab Fund. Lab Fund is asking for 600 million.
So this disclosure is not
Lab Trust CPF, they're asking for 1.2 billion.
You have only captured 33.4 million here.
Yes.
Honorable Chair.
It goes back to my question.
Senator?
Governor, you needed to be precise, and it was just a simple question. You have said after UCO's committee was ruled by Kitale High Court that they didn't have the power except the OAG. You said you formed internal verification committee through the chair. You have talked about legible and illegible pending bills. So I wanted you to be precise. Tell us how much is legible pending bills, how much are ineligible pending bills. Because ineligible, it means you cannot pay. So why are you providing for in the budget of 700 million, yet you come back and you say, what you are sure of is 241 million that is pending. So give us the global figure that these are eligible pending bills that I form and these are ineligible. Then tell us the story behind it, because you are shifting from 1.2 billion. You are saying you have allocated 700 million in the budget. You are saying you are sure that eligible is 241 million. So what is the story in this verification pending committee? And is it through the chair? Can you provide that report of internal verification committee on the pending bills? I yield, Chair.
Mr. Chairman, what I said was that the former Auditor General, Edward Ouko, chaired
Order, Governor. Senator, what's your
Chair, maybe I just wonder to how long has been this internal committee been operating?
Okay, let's allow the Governor to respond. I hope we could make very brief responses so that we can go to other issues.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The Governor has delegated to me the responsibility to respond on that. The internal verification committee was set in July 2024. And part of the term of reference is actually to look at the available documentation in line with pending bills. Remember, for a bill to be eligible, it must have full documentation. So that is part of the terms of reference. Two, the committee is open even to third-party information. Honorable Chairs, we sit here, there are merchants and people who did business or provided service to the county government of Trans-Nzoia, who are not even within our knowledge, because when we took over office, we did not have documentary evidence to indicate this is how much they are claiming from us. So part of that, on the TOR, they also receive information because some of them even go to court, secure court decrees to have them paid. So once that is done, we now subject it to the internal verification committee to verify whether internally this debt was incurred or not. So for us to be here and indicate that actually we have a definite figure might not be at this moment, because we don't know even who is coming tomorrow to present information on claiming anything to be paid from Trans-Nzoia County. Thank you, Chair.
Unfortunately, are you a member of the institute?
Yes, sir.
You are a CPA?
Member number 11966.
What is the expectation when it comes to financial assets reporting under accrual basis in this financial year?
We have to ensure we disclose.
And so you cannot tell us that you are so uncertain, because in this financial year, you must have certainty. And your responsibility must be to advise the governor that this exercise must come to an end. It cannot be bottomless, because in this financial year, you start recognizing your non-financial assets and liabilities. True. Are rent pending bills part of the non-financial liabilities?
They are part of it, Honorable Chair. What I am indicating is that we have a window of about 3 years to ensure full compliance. And actually that is part of what we are doing to ensure that we have verified pending bills to disclose. Chair, as you all know, you cannot just disclose a figure. You cannot be able to place a hand on it by having documentary evidence to support your disclosure.
So let's deal with what you have disclosed here.
Yeah.
Because those are now stories for the future.
Yeah.
You have disclosed that you had 109 million as statutory deductions.
Yes.
The governor disputes that. He believes it's a higher figure. But let's go with your disclosure. Where is this money in your payment plan?
We have indicated, Chair. We have a payment plan.
Where is it?
On the Annex 16, 17, and 18, we have a payment plan there.
Or for example, can you just show us the entry where you are now remitting to, because they include even contributions to the car and mortgage scheme of 20 million.
Yeah.
That was not there before devolution, so that is a present problem. They include transfers to Trans-Nzoia County Receive of Revenue. I wonder how that then sits in the other pending payables. So have you demonstrated how you are paying this 109, or you are still disputing it?
No, we have demonstrated in the plan,
Where?
Chair.
Page what? Row what? Column what?
And we can be able to check through. I hope we'll have time, Chair, but allow us time
National
to verify
Treasury.
and give you.
Treasury, statutory deductions, because they are deductions that are directed by law. Do we have this luxury that the county is indulging in? That they can take whatever time they need and pay whenever they want to pay?
Thank you, Chair. In response to statutory deductions, actually they have very strict timelines on when they should be paid, and failure to pay them, they will attract penalties for the period they have remained unpaid. Regarding the pending bills, now that I am on the mic, I would advise the county government that the pending bills that they know for sure, they should disclose them. Now that we have moved from cash accounting to accrual, and the ones that they are not very sure, they should be classified as contingent liabilities, and they should also be disclosed in the financial statements.
Thank you. Maybe we can also hear from COB. COB, how do you authorize withdrawals when you have statutory deductions that have not been remitted? I know in our resolution, we didn't seem to have addressed the issue of statutory deductions. And I think we need to amend that resolution so that we give very clear directives on that, and even say that the COB should not approve further withdrawal if statutory deductions from a prior withdrawal have not been remitted. Because I think that's proper financial sense. How do you deal with that?
Before the control of budget response, I'm told there is a new system of making sure that whatever the control of budget releases in terms of payments, then there is no way of voiding. How possible is that? That if it is statutory deductions, then the statutory deductions must go where they're supposed to be. How is it?
COB?
Thank you, Chair. Now, when counties come to requisition funds, they usually requisition the gross amount. The gross amount will include all the statutory deductions. So at no point does the county requisition a net. So it is expected that counties once request for the gross amounts, that they will deduct and remit the deductions, statutory deductions, including sometimes where we have check-off loans from staff. So when a county fails to remit those deductions that have been requested, then that is an injustice even to the employees. It's like
an injustice or it's an offense?
It's an offense because it's like
it's criminal.
You are stealing from them.
Chair. Senator Kumbo.
You know, there's one thing that we seem to be forgetting, I don't know. So if the deductions were not made in the first place, are they still valid pending bills? Because if then the position is that at some point these counties, these entities, like the municipalities or county councils, if they were paying net of the salaries, are we saying that the county is odd? Because the collection and remittance of statutory deductions, counties are acting as agents of KRA. They are collecting on behalf of KRA. So if they have not collected, is it a pending bill?
In fact, Chair, just to jog the memory of the committee, the reason why KRA was amenable to the request by this same committee to waive those penalties on late remittances was because they acknowledged that the problem is with the national government. And the question, Chair, back then was, you have a national treasury here, which is responsible for disbursement of money. It disburses money late, counties get into these problems. Then another national agency called KRA is imposing a penalty on late remittances. And that is how they were able to say this is something we are willing to look at. This was a former CS for Treasury who was before this committee. So there is that angle that also needs to be considered in my view.
Chair. Reverend from the Treasury, and then Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I want to put to record that the National Treasury eventually pays all the money that is due to the county government. That is by law. We have to remit all the money that is due to the county government. So probably it's an issue of delay or the timing difference, but all in all, eventually, the National Treasury is obligated by law to pay all the money that is due to the county government. And therefore, if they did not deduct, there is no way they can say they did not deduct and that employee earned a salary. The employee earned a salary plus the statutory deductions. So as this committee make a deliberation on this matter, they should consider probably the timing difference, but the aspect of the National Treasury not remitting the money is not there.
I think, Reverend, as a man of God, surely, you are aware that the Senate also passes something called a disbursement schedule. There's a reason why the law requires a disbursement schedule. You cannot say eventually we will pay. Who plans with such things in mind? You have a responsibility to follow what the Senate has done. And everybody knows, it's public knowledge, that you never follow the disbursement schedule. It is very difficult. Number two, you are aware that county governments approach financial institutions to borrow money to pay salaries. When they borrow, they don't borrow gross, because that would not make any sense. You'll start incurring interest. You just borrow what is sufficient to pay the net salaries of the staff. So this is something we are aware of, Chair.
Now, there's a substantive audit finding here, non-remittance of statutory dues. It's in the Auditor General's report. Perhaps we can just look at it so that we tick it off, so that we can establish whether this is a current problem or it is a historical problem. OAG, just take us through that. Then we see whether that was satisfied, because you had queried 923 million of statutory dues that were non-remitted. I think it's on page 6 of the certificate or of the Auditor General's report. Non-remittance of statutory dues. Yeah. Just read it out, then tell us whether this matter has been addressed so that we can contextualize this problem.
Yes.